Okay, hello WT Hamilton. How are you?
I'm doing great, Douglas. How are you doing today?
Oh, doing good. Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to it.
I got a real kick out of your bio. The world's first one chapter book series. I had to laugh at that because I just put out a book a month ago or so on podcasting, and it's only 24 pages long because
Yeah.
that's as long as I could go. It was about 7,000 words, and so nobody would take it. No publisher would take it. So I just put it up
Uh-huh.
myself on Kindle. Um, but I did have more than one chapter. I've got like 8 chapters, but each chapter is like 2 pages long or something.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
unbelievable. So for your one chapter book series,
Mhm.
how long is the chapter?
So the chapter typically, so when I first started out, because I've done about 7 or 8 of those one chapter books, the first ones were around 40, 50 pages for the chapter. And then from the reviews and things, people were asking for a little bit more meat. So now they're around 100 pages for the actual chapter.
Well, that's a big chapter.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay. So how many words is that?
Actually, I haven't counted, but it's a lot. It's it could have been probably broken down into 3 or 4 chapters, but the whole premise behind the one chapter book is I'm only solving one problem at a time. So one entrepreneur problem. So it's basically either a conversation or a meeting, but it's set in a setting where we just walk through the do's and don'ts and the highs and lows of whatever that is. Like one of them is ask for the money, and it's all about how to build up confidence to ask for the money once you have a product that you want to sell. So so it really is really specific just to one thing at a time.
Oh, I see. Okay. So how many books are in the series then?
I think there's 7 or 8. I kind of lost count because I have some other books as well, but I think there's probably 7 or 8 of the one chapter books.
Okay, and these are called the harsh truths.
So the harsh truth is one of the one chapter books that so the last 2 books I had wrote the harsh truths and the promise, those are the ones that won awards, so they're the ones that have done the best, but there's 4 or 5 other books before that.
Oh, I see. So each book in the series is a different title.
Yeah,
Okay, but it's called the series is called the one chapter book series.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, I get it. Okay. What's the genre? What's the theme of these books?
So really what happened was I was reading a lot of books about marketing, about being an entrepreneur, and I would find that there'd be like 15 chapters in the book, but there's only 1 or 2 chapters that I needed to solve the problem that I had. So each book is to help entrepreneurs solve problems, but just one problem at a time, one chapter at a time. So it's really for entrepreneurs and for people that are trying to start a business and are struggling because everything on the internet makes it look like it's so easy and so fast, but there's a lot of hurdles and a lot of struggles that you need to be aware of. And so I try to capture that in the things that I've done that I've been either successful at or I've failed at or I've struggled and figured out how to do.
Well, so aside from an author, you have some kind of an entrepreneurial company.
Yeah, so I'm a business consultant as well, and I I was in sales before that, and I still do some sales with business consulting, but I help companies with management strategies and setting up procedures and all those type of things to help grow their managers and run their business.
You mentioned something about asking for the money, and I think that let's talk a little bit about that one because I think that one is probably the most interesting and most relevant for a lot of people who are starting their own company. When you say ask for the money, what do you mean by that?
Everybody's really confident in say the product, what what the product can do, the attributes of the product, or if you're selling your own time or whatever it is you're selling, you're confident in that part until it comes to evaluating it to saying, well, this is worth $500 or this is worth $1,000. So people get really small and their confidence kind of shrinks when it comes to actually asking for the purchase price or asking for a person to invest in the product or the service, whatever it is. So this is kind of walking through what happened was I got thrown into sales. I was a production manager at a company, and then the management changed, and basically the company stopped for a little bit. And to start it back up, they needed me to do sales, which I hadn't done before, but I knew a lot about the product. So I kind of got thrown into it, and it was kind of the story is about my struggle of getting to the point where I started to get comfortable with actually asking for the sale price of the item. The item I was selling was around $14,000 at the time, which to me was a huge amount of money. And so I didn't have a lot of confidence in actually asking the buyer to pay that price.
Trying to value your product, depending on what it is, can be fairly easy, straightforward, or nearly impossible. Because I have a friend of mine who runs a coffee company, and you can pretty much price a bag of coffee just based on what everyone else is charging. You know, if you have something a little bit different, you can charge a little more, but you're not going to charge, $8,000 for a 2-pound bag of coffee. It has to be within the range of Starbucks and everybody else, right? But if you're selling your time, if you're selling like some kind of a presentation where you would go into a company and you would give them a PowerPoint thing and you'd be up there for an hour doing whatever you're going to do, depending on how famous you are really dictates how much you can charge, right? If you're right out of the gate, it's unlikely you're going to get $100,000 to go up there and talk,
Yeah.
right? So how do you
Yeah.
determine that?
So I always tell people, so I coach a lot of people with this, and one of the things I tell them is you want to give more value than what you're charging. So you got to look at how much value do you actually bring, how much information are you bringing that's kind of unique, and then really a big thing when you're selling presentations, you're selling anything like that is what happens after you've done the presentation. So are you offering some type of a relationship because that relationship has value, or are you just doing your presentation and then you're going to disappear and they're never going to see you again? Because the disappearing is only worth a little bit of money, but if you're going to walk them through how to implement whatever it is that you're showing them, that's a relationship, and now that's worth more money. So it's really looking at how much value, and then you never want to do anything for free. Like you can do things for free when you're first starting out just to get experience, but eventually you're going to need to charge money because people don't value things that they get for free for very long.
Now, can you put a dollar value on followers on social media?
Some people do, but I find that like you can build up thousands and thousands of followers. You can do different paid strategies to build up followers, but if they don't interact a lot with you, especially with social media, with like Instagram, with direct messaging, if you're not able to have conversations with people that are following you on direct message, they don't have any value because they're just a number. So I find that it's more important to build that relationship, build that rapport with the person, and then you're able to get them into a position where you want to do some call to actions.
Okay, well, I guess what I meant was that if you were going to try to sell yourself or figure out a cost for a presentation, could you use your social media, say, well, I've got 200,000 followers, as a guide to sort of price what you feel you would be worth for an hour's of time to go up there and give a presentation? That's what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, all of that builds credibility. So the more followers you have, is you can justify, okay, well, I'm very popular in these spaces, and this is kind of what my price is based on. But it's hard to prove that those are real. Those are real followers. So
Well, true. They could all be from India on one of those farms or
yeah,
something like
exactly.
that. Yeah. Well, that's true enough.
Mhm.
No, because I've heard and I've even seen on Fiverr, you know that site,
Yeah.
where people are actually selling retweets. And I just kind of laughed, but some of them says we have 5 million followers.
Yeah.
and we'll retweet whatever you want us to retweet, and they're charging like $1,000 for that.
Yeah, that's a lot. Like I know on Instagram, there's what they call shout outs, and you can get influencers to shout out your product or your service or whatever, and you can get um, good gains from that interaction, get people on your email list, but you have to really do your homework to see if they're legitimate or not, because there's a lot of what they call robots on Twitter and on Instagram that are just automated accounts that aren't really going to do anything for you except for drive the number of followers up that you have.
Well, and they're also very temporary because you'll get, with those automated ones, you'll get a whole bunch of hits and then they'll fall off, and then your money's gone and all your hits are gone at the same time. How do you determine if an influencer is credible, if they're real or not?
So I try to get them on a video call. So I do a lot of my vetting through DM. So if I get them talking on DM and they're willing to go on a video call, then I know that's a legitimate person to work with. A lot of times people don't want to go on video calls. So I really have a hard time spending money with someone that I haven't looked in their eye and talked to.
That's pretty smart. Yeah, I think that would be all right. We've got time for one more. Can give us another chapter. What's another problem or something that you solve in one of these?
One of the books is $1 Million Idea. Where do I start? And it's really when you have that great idea, but you don't know what things to do first. A lot of people, they'll spend a lot of money, say, on a website, but they don't even know if the audience that they think are targeting will like what they have. So I look at how to really establish what you're doing and make sure that it's you're setting yourself up for the right start to win. And a lot of things I look at is how much time and effort and money can you put into it? Because some people they want to make $1 million, but they're only putting in $10,000 worth of effort. And so your effort and your time and the money you can invest has to match what your goal is.
So, how much time and effort and money do you have to put in to get $1 million back?
So there's other strategies, right? So you have to, you can't do it all by yourself. So you got to build the foundation, and then there's different strategies. You're gonna have to partner up with some people, do your influencers, use some paid strategies. There's a lot of things that you need to do to really build up your business to make like $1 million a year or $1 million a quarter, whatever it is you're trying to shoot for.
Well, I know it's impossible to do it yourself, and there are those people that just are so control freak that they just want their fingers in every pie and micromanage everything. Typically, those fail, don't they?
Yeah, it's impossible, I think, for most people. So you're always going to have that one in a million that was able to do it all by themselves. But most people, you're not an island, right? We don't all have the same talents. So if you're really good at being creative, you're probably not really good at numbers. So you're going to need a numbers person. You might need someone that is really good at Facebook ads. I mean, you can learn how to do it yourself, but you're not going to get as much bang for your buck as you are somebody that's all they do is Facebook ads. So I think getting them the right pieces and the right partners for your business is very important.
All right. Well, this is all good information, but we are out of time, so we got to wrap it up. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Yeah, you can find more of my books on yourinvinciblepower.com, and there's links to that. And if you want to get training, I have mindsetforsuccesstraining.com. So those are the two websites that I use.
Okay, great. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. Nice meeting you, and best of luck with everything you're doing.